two dope dudes, bringing you the news, leading you to much success with all their insightful views. Do you grow yourself or buy from the top shelf? Are you here to take the reins and gain back your health? Whatever it is, you know the biz. Leave a like, crack a pipe, and let's get on with it. If you want to acquire the knowledge, you don't have to go to college. You can just come hang with Aaron and Dave.
Yo, welcome to the Elevated News Podcast with Two Dope Dudes. We are your source for Midwest cannabis news, culture, and more. I'm Aaron.
Hey, I'm Dave.
Hey, we are the Two Dope Dudes. What's going on, man? How are you?
Just another day in paradise.
Man, boy, do I hear you. I just, paradise is great, right?
Yeah, I'm not. There was a gray day the other day, and I was like, oh, I am not fucking ready for this. I do not. I wish.
Well, yeah, well, we've had 2 days of snow, so a little bit of snow, right?
Yeah, my brother stayed away from us to the right. Is fucking 7, 8 inches. Yeah, I was like, nope, no, don't want
Yeah,
that.
that's cool. None of that lake effect snow. I'm good.
Ooh, yeah, nope, don't want
Yeah, we
that.
just got a little dusting out here, so it hasn't been bad. But waking up to snow 2 days in a row is fun. I'm definitely not ready for that. But
Yeah, I disc golfed twice yesterday.
did you?
Yeah, I needed to. It was.
I did not get up and disc golf yesterday. It
I
was
almost
not.
don't blame you,
Mhm,
because, they were I mean, great rounds with the people and the company and the
mhm,
everything.
mhm.
Didn't throw super good either place, just needed to be around the people, needed to be outside, keep going.
Yeah.
I saw some, report that was done, or it was a study that was done about people who stay outside versus people who stay inside and
Mhm,
um, how quickly you can deteriorate inside compared to outside, and like the conditions that come about from being an inside dweller and not going outside and taking the sun. And like,
mm.
I read it literally the night before, and then I was like, I'm going. I don't care if it's 6 inches, 7 inches of snow. I'm going. Like, I gotta be outside, take care of my health.
I was just not, I was not interested in being, cold yesterday. I was not ready to, like, go get all the layers and do all the things.
Let me tell you what, could not feel my right hand for a good portion of the day.
Yeah, I'm just not acclimated to the cold yet. Yesterday was not gonna be the day I was going to try and do it. Plus, it was windy.
Dude, that's what I'm saying, like, it was cutting through, and I
Mhm.
had gloves, didn't matter, I had the hand warmers, didn't matter,
Yeah.
yeah, my hand was like I said, it was, um,
I don't got enough stable discs to throw in the wind like that.
touche.
I was like, man, I gotta see winter disking means I gotta disc up a little bit and get some more stable discs and stuff like that. And, man, they're all in my closet and stuff. I would have
Yeah,
had to like get up early.
hole 12, I took the CTP,
Oh, nice.
again, walk over, go to putt, hit all the chains, fall out. Go up to hole 13's, tee pad. "Hey, Ty, who's in the lead?" He does this number between me and him, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Wait, what? In all of everybody?" He's like, "Yeah, it's me and you tied." I'm like, "Oh, shit." He shanks his drive to the right on 13 down by, like, the tree. I fucking yank mine over to the left. He gets up, 100 plus foot, jams the fucking putt in my face, dude.
He would.
I'm like, "What the hell, 14?" I throw mine out into the open on the left. He's
Hmm.
behind the big palm tree to the right, whatever,
Hmm.
throws his in. I obviously miss mine. I'm like, "What is going on?"
Guy is
17.
sick.
Yes, we're fine through there. 17, he doubles. I par. So now we're back all square.
Hmm.
Hole 18, he parks. Well, no, no, no. He threw over the top of the basket way the hell deep. There's that big bush that's right behind the basket.
Hmm. Yeah.
He's down on his knees in some little divot, like, looking underneath it. I'm like, "This guy's gonna make this thing." He slams this thing up into the air, floats up, hits the top of the basket, jumps in the chain, sits out. I'm like, "How do you even compete with that?" Like
I
what?
mean, Tyler has been killing it this year. If you look at the standings for all year, Tyler is in the lead. He has beat
Yeah, I
more
mean,
people.
reasonably.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kills.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
kills. I mean, last year or the year before it was Rafa.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
they go back and forth is all I'm saying. Tyler's definitely having a year this year, so love
It
that guy.
was fun to watch. I'm gonna tell you what, 3 putts, probably 240, 250 feet of putts, dude, just
Mhm.
in my face. Yeah.
That's awesome. And, speaking of disc golf, shout out to, Jay Carbo,
Oh,
Mr. Rourke 420,
I
and our friend Kevin from OCB Rolling Papers,
yes.
came and disc golfed with us last Thursday, and it was a great time.
That was one of my more favorite rounds. I think, 1, I shot very well, but 2
You
is,
did.
like, just conversation the whole way. We were stopping in different
Mhm.
places, just talking, and, like, I wasn't worried about disc golf. We were just ch It was a good time. It's a really good time.
Yeah, it was a really good time. That was fun. I'm glad we were able to get out, before the weather got cold, and, look, here we are. It's winter time.
Yeah,
So,
wild.
hmm. Hey, we got some good news to get into today.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, so we might have had too much blah, 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 but it's okay. People like the blah, blah, blah. I know people actually like hearing about us disc golfing and the disc golf stuff we do. So it's always fun.
Hey, if
But,
not,
yeah,
just
but,
wait. We'll get into some other stuff.
yeah, so let's do plugs real quick and then we'll get into the news and start talking about that stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh, do I usually? Yeah, yeah,
We got some
yeah.
comments this week, YouTubes.
Yeah, we got 2 YouTube comments. We got, 2 of them to get through, which is, equal to about 1. YouTube's been treating us pretty crappy lately.
Oh,
Uh, but, you can find us, the Elevated News Podcast, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all your other favorite podcast and streaming apps. Two Dope Dudes YouTube channel. If you're a podcast listener or audio listener, come check us out on the YouTubes. And if you're on the YouTubes, go listen to us on the audios. Twitter.com, two dope dudes, follow us there, and supportdopepeople.com if you want to buy a t-shirt while they're still around. David.
Thursday night, come hang out live on YouTube. Peace, love, and cope, where I will try to help you take your health back into your own hands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get into YouTube comments. Our first one last week was Cole Memo. Great episode. Lots of info packed into this one. Thanks for the shout out and the kind words, as always, my friend. I
Great,
forgot
man.
to do that. Forgot to do that. Uncle Polly 420. Great episode as always, gentlemen. Thank you, Uncle Polly.
Hell yeah. Thank
And
you.
then Chi-Town Hi-Fi, our friend. Uh, Talked to him a bunch this yesterday too.
Whoa.
Wow, great show. Really appreciated our conversation yesterday. Thank you, bro. Uh,
Wow.
wow, great show as always. Dave really dropped all the feels there. If you people can't hear the passion, turn up the volume. Project 21.
Wow.
Yeah, we got to make a. He was talking to me about. Would really like a one pager on Project
Yeah.
21.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he said that to you too.
Yeah. I've messed around with a few things, but might be able to make that happen.
Let's see. Was there anybody in here that did not comment? Let's see. Dr. Danknugs talked to him this morning too. What's up, Corey? Just Nick DJ, our friends
Dude.
over at Ralph Wiley.
Dude.
Uh,
Just Nick. God, I hope that guy's
yeah,
doing all right.
yeah. He's supposed to be at. Yeah, he's doing decent. Minnesota Organics. That's where I met Ralph Wiley too at Herban
Really?
Legends. Yeah,
Oh. Well,
he won the first year. He won Legendary Indoor. That was the first year I met him. Minnesota Organics 87. Uh,
Macho Grams.
Macho Grams, who we're going to talk about in a
Sean
few
Whitney, I've
minutes.
seen in
Sean
there.
Whitney was in there, yeah, for sure.
What was that one
Mm.
up top? Skunk Escape. What?
Oh, let's see, Skunk Ape Glassworks.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
they've been in before
Hell yeah.
because they have a wrench.
Yeah, I
So
like
they've
that.
been here more than once. Uh, Uncle Paulie was there.
David Graff.
David Graff, my buddy, David Graff from Fire Ferments. Go get you some.
Hell
Uh,
yeah.
Love that guy. Really like seeing him in there. Yeah, and that was it. And then let's see. We had a lot of fun with our friends over at Herban Legends. And that was really fun.
Yeah.
Uh, Local Weedia, here for it. Appreciate you. Uncle Paulie 420, missed alive, rewatching now.
Uncle Paulie's
Turpy
so
Takes,
fucking dope.
that's Mason from Sun Drenched Farms, our friend over there.
Oh,
Lucid Genetics, another buddy.
oh
And
yeah.
Minnesota Organics. Seems to be late, but always comes and watches. So appreciate that.
Dude, that's, I mean, you
I
fall
know.
more in line with me. I'm always late to every fucking thing.
Let's see here. Mr. Rourke 420, Macho Grams. We were actually busy. We were on the course when
This
this
is
was
what,
happening.
yep.
Yep. Xylence. What's up, sis? Let's see here. Chi-Town Hi-Fi, Macho Grams, Mr. Rourke, Lower Class Boof. That dude's awesome as well.
That is a
Gar-
great name.
yep. Gary Coronet, Gare Bear. Uh, Lisa and Angelo.
Oh
Yeah.
God, I miss him.
Jinx Mac.
Wow.
Yeah. Shout out to
Holy
everybody in
shite.
the live chat. Appreciate you guys.
Squad, dude.
Right. And then yeah, so that was those were our YouTube comments, and we appreciate anybody that comments, and we always like to shout you out. So let's see. This is the next thing I want to talk about. When this comes out, this is going to come out on the 12th. I'm going to have a link, hopefully, right here. And I want everybody to go to this link, and I want you to buy this book on Amazon. It's the Cannabis Bible. It is the Bible as told by cannabis. And everybody's like, well, why are you talking about this? Well, this is our friend Macho Gramsby Savage went and wrote a book and put it out on Amazon. And support dope people. So support Macho Grams because Macho Grams is awesome. And I love that guy. I think we're going to
That is
do a
so
giveaway.
awesome.
I think we're going to do a giveaway or two as well. And we will have Macho Grams on at some point to talk about this.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so awesome.
And so it's called the Cannabis Bible, as told by Macho Gramsby Savage. Apparently, I was the first one to figure it out. Nobody had figured it out yet, but it's right on the front of the book, and I saw that, so that's how I figured it out. But nobody was close enough to get it. But yeah, shout out to Macho Grams. Support dope people. Put your money where your mouth is. Be about it. Don't talk about it. Be about it. Because I see a lot of people online talking about shit and they're not being about shit. And, you know, I see it. That means other people see it. So, got to be about it, right?
It sounded
Support dope people. So, yeah,
falls in line with what you say, man.
just saying.
Yeah,
Just
that's the
saying.
hey,
So,
follow the
hey,
mission statement.
I mean, you got to talk the talk. You can't just, or you got to walk the walk. You can't just talk the talk.
I like I said, I yeah, I see a lot of people who have a lot of talk about cannabis in the cannabis space
Hmm.
and who are even they're the ones who got the titles too. They're
Yeah.
professionals,
Hmm.
and then everybody has to bow to their titles. And then I listen to them talk and I'm like, "Oh my god, you're hurting the science and the math and
Yeah.
the community." And
Yeah.
that doesn't make no sense. Community, come together.
Come together. Quit
Yeah,
hating on each other.
right now over me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't forget about our friends at Herban Legends. Uh, Ignore any of the info, but y'all should come. You can use code SGP10 for 10% off your tickets to the award sesh or the event app made before, which is going to be probably more in depth than what they did with us on the podcast. But thanks again to Danny for going as in depth as he did about the judging and the rubric and, sharing his ganja experience with us. That was super cool. And we're super grateful for that.
Yeah, I'm and I am happy that they allowed me to ask real questions about like why and then their responses were very calculated and very capable of answering some of the questions.
Mhm.
So kudos
Yeah.
to that group for putting on a pretty sweet event.
Yeah. Yeah. And go check them out. You may see us there. You may not. You never know.
It's very possible.
Very possible. Hey, so here's our first news of the day. Michigan border towns say enough to weed shops.
Uh-oh.
This is residents of Niles Township in Menominee on Tuesday voted to limit marijuana businesses within their communities, pushing back against a trend of cannabis stores proliferating in the state's border towns. Give
Is
me a
this
second. Yeah. Yeah.
so is this like cities in Michigan mad at Michigan, or are they people from like Indiana and Ohio and whatever that are trying to fight against Michigan? Or this is saying Michigan's like actual
No,
cities themselves are
this is
pissed off that they got 70 dispensaries in them.
well, let's find out.
Okay.
This is yeah, no, these are cities in Michigan.
Okay. Yeah, I thought Menominee was, but I don't know Niles.
Niles Township, yeah, definitely. In the summer, the board in mostly rural Niles Township gave a preliminary okay to 21 cannabis stores along one road currently dotted with businesses and surrounded by farmland. On Tuesdays, voters rejected all of them.
Whoa.
Nearly 6 in 10 voters in the township along Michigan's border with Indiana approved a ballot measure prohibiting any cannabis stores from opening there. Many residents said they didn't want to see the township look like the rest of uh, Berrien County, maybe. I'm going to go with Berrien.
Yeah, I like it.
It could be Berrien. I don't know. Where 27 pot shops operate, including 7 in the neighboring city of Niles. That
Uh,
vote and another Tuesday limiting marijuana stores in the Upper Peninsula city of Menominee along the Wisconsin border come at a time of uncertainty for Michigan's cannabis industry. Pot has proliferated across Michigan. There are now more than 850 stores across 75 of Michigan's 83 counties. Well, that's like 4 times more than us, huh?
yeah, that's more than 10 per county. Could you
Yeah,
admit, like,
I would love it.
even in the
I would love it.
even where there's
I want 1,000.
yeah, yeah, dude,
I
and
want to start it
honestly,
at I
like,
want to start at 1,000 and see what happens from there. I'm not saying that we should have more, but I say 1,000 is a number that we could have enough of,
I
and then
think if
it would allow just about everybody who wanted to get into it.
I think this is my thought on this. If the tax dollars went to actually do shit that made a difference in those cities,
Yeah,
people would fucking vote for it. But since
sure.
tax dollars just get whatever wherever they go, who knows? And you just don't see it a lot, right? With your
Mhm.
eyes. You never like I mean, new roads are about all you ever see, right? But like as far as improvement goes in your local, hopefully what they're doing with your taxes. But in these places, you're missing out on on a cash cow, on a fuck ton of revenue for, the surrounding area. And it opens a ton of jobs too, I think.
I think so too.
So like, yeah, I'm sorry that some people feel this way. And I guess there is like I'm trying to balance it in my head, which way would you prefer it or not, right? And I mean for me I'm always like, yeah, the more the merrier. But at the same time, you're some little quiet town or
Mhm.
some little tiny town, and then all of a sudden now you're popping because of cannabis sales. Maybe it's not your favorite look, but let them
I
do what
mean,
they do, man. Get rid of the if you're gonna ask me if that's your stance on it, how okay are you with every single place from the beginning of where your shopping mall starts to where the end of your shopping mall starts, or whatever the strip of road that has all the shopping centers on it, you want to call it, how many of them locations sell alcohol? And if
sure.
it's a restaurant, right? And that we know how many restaurants there are outside of the fast food ones, how many of them have alcohol in it? Even where like a Portillo's has alcohol in it, you know what I mean? So like there's a lot of alcohol.
Okay, so I was just reading down here. It says because there's some like upper stuff, or there's some more stuff, but I don't know how much.
Ah, yeah.
Uh, but I just saw this and it kind of made me laugh. Brian Long told Bridge, Michigan on Friday that he moved out of the city of Niles to neighboring Niles Township last summer because he lived next to a marijuana grow facility in the city, and the stench was so bad his food used to taste like it. Bruh, bruh,
Oh,
dude,
holy
are you
shit.
serious? Come on.
Oh, that do you notice that poor Brian Long is because there's no quotation marks in that, right? Poor Brian Long sitting at home, he's like, "God, they're trying to peg me as a nerd. I didn't say any of that." Yeah, sorry, B Long, but now you're the guy because you know, your weed, your food tasted like the weed.
I mean,
I mean, listen, if you live next to a sewage treatment plant and there was sewage all over the place, you know what I mean? And it was
I
inside
mean,
your nose.
do you remember how it used to be in Montgomery before they redid it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Then yeah, you know. I mean, I would assume that you know. But
Very
yeah,
aware.
I lived on the other side
Yeah.
before they redid it. I remember how it would get in the summer. It's terrible.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Mhm. I lived upwind.
Oof. Yeah, heard that.
Um,
No, yeah, you know what? It's a hell of a debate, I
this
guess.
is what I wanted to, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So here's Menominee County right here.
3.49 dispensaries per 10,000 people. Go to the bottom left corner of that. That's not true. Well, maybe Berrien is the entire county, but I would love to see the stats on that for just fucking what is it called? Was it New Buffalo? Because didn't we read that report a couple of weeks ago where it was like New Buffalo only has like 1,700 residents or something like that,
I
and they've
think
got like
so.
yeah 1,850 dispensaries in there.
It is, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
But
1.2 dispensaries per individual who lives in the city.
I mean, it just goes to show like how many people want cannabis though, and how many people want good cannabis. Why are they not flocking to Illinois? I mean, we all know why.
I mean, yeah, it's you know, yeah.
Yeah.
I do. Uh, yeah, I try not to hate all the way because there are some quality products in this space, but the
Sure.
problem is the taxes on it get so bad, and now
Well,
every
the problem is that our cannabis laws are based on generating the most cannabis or most taxes possible for the state. There's no room for home grow. There's no room for innovation. There's no room for new products. There's no room for expansion. It's only we want to maximize the amount of successful big corporations who can generate a lot of tax revenue for us. They don't give a shit about anything else.
yeah, but I mean,
That's why. And
as the person making the
I
company,
understand
though, you kind of
why
care about
if you're
building a
corporate
business.
Dave, I
Yeah.
understand corporate Dave why you got to be like, no, that's not it.
No,
But
no,
that's what I'm saying.
I'm fully
You know
with
what I mean?
you. I'm fully with you in what you are saying because the state is more of the problem than not.
Yeah,
But like what I'm trying to say too is like some MSOs make it so undesirable to go
sure.
to Illinois, right? Like
Yeah,
if you can get Caminos in Michigan for
yeah, it's way cheaper.
$10, $15 a package compared to here where base level they're 20 to 30 whatever it is, and then you've got 200 milligrams for 10 to 15 and you've got 100 milligrams for 20 to 30, and then like you're allowed to buy 5 or 10 of them over there, you only can buy 5 of them here, and then like it's just those arguments back and forth that make it like outside of so Illinois is the problem there, where like the state, because they have such
Mhm.
strict limitations on what you're allowed to buy and
Yeah.
how aggressive the taxes are and whatever,
Mhm.
but the MSOs are almost driving their business one direction towards the other by making and offering these products in these saturated markets where there is actual competition, right? But like, so that's on that level of things. That's like, so
Mhm.
now you and I are talking about, do we go to Michigan to buy the family size bag of Doritos because the fucking small bag of them over here costs the same amount, right? Like there becomes this like, it's
Sure.
just Doritos, dog, like whatever. But
Right.
when we talk about like smaller craft growers and like who's actually putting out more fire product, who is actually paying more attention and doesn't really care about the border war or expanding at a rate that they can't sustain, they they end up like caring about like a quality product. And I've been begging for the days where like, just settle the fucking waters, let the Walmarts and Targets and fucking, Kmarts establish themselves, and then like allow the smaller businesses to get going and do their thing and stop limiting them so hard, because they're the people that we all want to succeed. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I want everybody to succeed. I want it to be a big, thriving business. I want there to be so much cannabis that everybody has more than enough. You know,
yeah, yeah, I think, yeah, I'm with you. Access to clean and
clean
quality.
quality cannabis. I mean, it's the overgrow principle. It's clean quality cannabis. It's real medicine. It's a stupid plant that's why
It's an
you know
amazing plant.
it's an amazing. But
But
what
it
I
is
mean by
just
that,
it's a fucking weed. Yeah.
That's
No,
that's
yeah.
that's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say, like, the
Yeah.
fact that we've criminalized it, and then that's why people who advocate for it, do it so hard because we know it's a dumb plant. It's a stupid plant. Why are we even, like, arguing about this? This is, like, dumb,
It
and
is
and
very
that's why we rail so hard about it, you know, because
it
there's so
is a
many.
very mild intoxicant.
Yeah, it's very mild. There's a lot of way worse things,
Yeah, we could
to
call it
that.
an intoxicant light.
Yeah, honestly,
Yeah. Yeah,
and it's
0
also
cal intoxicant.
it's good for your head. Um, hell yeah. Uh,
Really good shit for your head.
yeah. So our next story here. Um,
Yeah, this kind of rolls straight in from the first one
exactly,
to a degree.
exactly, to a degree. Uh, Cannabis Regulatory Agency asks dispensaries to report customers who want to buy more than legal limit of. Excuse me for just a second.
No, you're fine, because I'm gonna just hammer this point for a second before we read the thing too much. Um, so everybody knows, the Cannabis Regulatory Agency is the overseeing body of the regulations of Michigan's cannabis.
Hmm.
And they are asking the dispensaries to tell them who is trying to buy more than the legal limit of pot, than their legal individual purchase limits. And we'll go ahead and read this, but I have lots of feelings about it.
The Cannabis Regulatory Agency wants pod dispensaries to report customers who possess illegal limits of cannabis, but CRA is not asking the stores not to sell it. Quote, it doesn't really make sense at all, quote, said the manager of a store in the Upper Peninsula who asked not to be named over concerns that he may be perceived as criticizing CRA. What a world we live in, where one would be afraid to criticize the state.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I think what they're saying is if a customer comes through and wants more than what their daily limit is, they want us to call and tell on the customer. Legally, you could sell more, but you'd have to report them. The reminder, which, that actually brings up an interesting point because I would have to dig into the laws because I'm not actually certain and I'm not familiar. But is there a fine for dispensaries who sell more than the legal limit to customers on a regular
Well,
basis in Michigan? Because if that is not being in compliance and there's a fine for that, and then the state is asking dispensaries
To
to
rat
open them
themselves up.
to rat themselves out just so that they can call and tell on a customer, which is
A-
even crazier.
Any dispensary that does this is
Can
a
fuck off.
box of idiots. Um, and yeah, holy cow! Like I'm almost at a loss for words for what your mentality behind calling somebody in would be. And I'm as somebody who's worked in there, I'm trying to think through all scenarios. Like, could I hate somebody so much? They're just the worst customer in the world, the biggest pain in the ass. They're always in there demanding because they spend so much and they think they're the coolest shit in the world because they're gonna buy whatever. Um, could you report that person maybe to like get them out of your hair of some sort? But I don't know what the reporting does. Does it land you in jail or does it make
Yeah.
it so that the CRA is like, yeah,
So
what's the CRA going to do? Sell your
so
information to the local police?
the reminder, which retailers tell MLive is confusing in its vagueness, came in the form of a notice issued to licensed cannabis businesses on November 3rd. The same communication was sent April 15th, days before the annual 420 pot holiday. The notice uh, should have iterated, not reiterated. Reiterated. No, anyway, I'm not going to go off on that. The notice iterated an existing rule. A store must report suspected theft, diversion, or criminal activity that occurs at the marijuana business to police and the cannabis regulatory agency within 24 hours of detecting it. Okay, so there is an existing rule. There's an existing rule that if you see diversion, like if you see something, say something, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Is what the spirit sounds like, because the word diversion is in there, which would if you look into metric diversion, you'll find the big rabbit hole and see why the whole metric nationwide thing is a bad idea. Um, Basically, it means like they backdoor the cannabis to someplace else. A lot of places, California, blah blah blah, lots of diversion. Diversion just means we're taking licensed cannabis, we're taking yet to be taxed cannabis, and we're sending it somewhere else so the state doesn't get taxed. This is like getting cigarettes without a tax stamp on them and bringing
Bingo.
them across state lines. That would
Bingo.
be the closest thing.
Bingo. You
So yeah,
absolutely nailed that.
yeah. But it included a caveat that caught the attention of some in the industry. This includes, but is not limited to, individual possession of more than twice the amount of marijuana allowed under the Michigan Regulation and Taxation of Marijuana Act. In Michigan, you may transport, gift, or purchase in a single transaction up to 2.5 ounces, including a maximum of 15 grams of concentrate. Possession exceeding the limit is a civil infraction with possible fines. Once the quantity exceeds twice the legal limit, it becomes a misdemeanor crime. Store
Yeah.
representatives who spoke to MLive interpret this to mean they may sell up to 5 ounces and 30 grams of concentrate to a customer. Because that amount would exceed single transaction limits, stores split the sale into 2 transactions and issue separate receipts. What the
Yeah.
CRA's position has been is that if you ring up more than one transaction and it keeps somebody at or under the limit for a misdemeanor, that person is not committing a crime yet, said Lansing based
Yep.
Dykema attorney John W. Frazier, who assists cannabis businesses with regulatory guidance. This has been percolating for the last 6 or 7 months, and it's been a topic of discussion that has come up in a lot of calls with clients.
Wow. You know what? I've always wondered because they
You're not
there
going
are
to stay in
people that
business
I've
very
been
long if
around.
you start calling the police on your customers, if you're in any business. Sorry, I just wanted to, I didn't mean to interrupt,
Frazier's
but yeah,
With the mic drop. He
right.
says exactly what everybody's thinking. What the
Yeah.
hell are you talking about? Who the hell is doing that? And it's awesome as fuck because you you're using the terminology to your benefit. Laws are just terminology, it's how it's interpreted. So if you interpret this law as you are under a misdemeanor possession, like that's kind of dope actually.
Hmm.
I really, really, really like that. Because
Yeah.
before it's a misdemeanor, it would just be a civil disturbance, or I don't know what they call them. It's like a seatbelt law, right? Like it's
Yeah,
like,
basically.
yeah, they
So,
can pull you over and maybe give you a fine for it or some
yep.
shit, but they're just
Yeah,
gonna
it's more
at
like
the
a
mo
it's more like a city ticket than like a county ticket
yeah.
or a state ticket, you know?
Yep, okay. Wild. Yep, good for you, Michigan. Sorry, this is crazy though. I hope that none of you are calling the police on yourself. That is the craziest shit I've ever heard.
Yeah, they have a lot of good points here. CRA declined, or no, I'm sorry, that's not one.
Oh, he
What
nailed it though. Right there, if you read it, says, "What happened if the
Yep,
customer
that's
leaves the
that's what I
store,
was going
returns to
for.
the car, and they come back in?" I don't know what CRA position is on that. Well, and that's the whole thing. Like, if I'm allowed 2.5 ounces, so I take the 2.5 ounces, I run it over, drop it off to my friend, say, "Hey, happy Merry Christmas,"
Yeah.
and I come back to the dispensary and I grab more. When is it my limit to in an individual's possession, mine, I'm only allowed up to the whatever the 5 ounces and the 30 grams, right? Because that's below misdemeanor. So, but as a purchase limit and shit, like, so I go buy the 2.5, I drop it off, 2.5, drop it off, and up in Michigan, you're allowed to gift. So,
Mhm.
at what point is it like, yeah, I just don't get it. It's so crazy,
Like, state, what do you care? You're getting your tax money.
and it's like
And
the
like, so diversion I can actually understand, because it's because technically, if the state didn't do anything about it, then they could maybe be held responsible by the federal government in some way, or if it's going across state lines, because cannabis is not
yeah,
federally legal, I can at
yeah,
least get behind and put myself in a position where I understand where that makes sense. You know
yeah.
what I mean? But like, why are we nannying so much? Like that's always my point. Like um the number one key to prosperity is liberty.
Well,
And
and
so you want the maximum amount of liberty with the least amount of interference.
I would love to see a thing where cross borders would be allowed. That's why the federal government needs to get involved to allow over the border
Sure.
sales of things, so long as it's from market that accepts it to market that accepts it, right? And like if you have markets that aren't accepting of it, there people have voted against having it around. That's on you in the voting process and whatever you want to do, I guess. But I would love to see them still have access, but get the fuck out of that state, I guess, right? And anyway, past that, I'm just saying, uh, from major market to major market, it would be cool to see transportation allowed. What it would
Yeah.
do is make mega factories overnight. Like somebody would just home base somewhere, build a massive factory to do all of their production, and then be able to ship it out. And I think it's only cool for like um concentrates and edibles and
Yeah.
like things that you can make consistently.
Well,
Flour
unfortunately, yeah. I
local.
don't. I would also love that. I don't know that we're gonna ever, or maybe not in the next, say, 5 to 10 years, be in a
I,
place where anybody in this government or country is trying to work together and make common sense laws. We are not there right now.
yeah, less profit off of community, more profit
Yeah.
division.
Hey, I read this yesterday. This or for us yesterday. Uh, Federal officials revise sentencing guidelines for drug selling convictions.
Oh,
This is actually great. Any movement in this space is an improvement. So that's great, because there has not been movement. So that's why I would, you know, use the word great. Uh, New amendments to federal sentencing guidelines will put less of an emphasis on the quantity of drugs someone was charged with and give more consideration to the scope of their role in the overall drug distribution change. The United States Sentencing Commission implemented the amendments on November 1st. So they're still prosecuting people for drugs, and this is not necessarily for cannabis, but they are no longer using just the quantity as the main basis, is what it sounds like. Federal sentencing is calculated using a deeply convoluted scoring system that assigns a base level or base offense level between 1 and 43 according to how serious a conviction is perceived to be. For drug trafficking, this is determined partly through a drug quantity table that uses the number of grams involved to assign a BOL that prior to the new amendments could be between 6 and 38. But about 2 out of 3 people were being sentenced using a BOL between 30 and 38.
Holy shit.
Yes. The fixation with quantity as the biggest factor in how serious each case made it easy to prosecute local distributors as if they were high-level members of drug trafficking organizations. Neighborhood sellers who might only deal in relatively small quantities could still be assigned a BOL for much larger quantities if the number was measured over a long period of time or manipulated in other ways. The length of someone's prison sentence also depends on other factors like prior convictions, but a higher BOL correlates to a longer sentence. For a BOL of 37 or higher, the upper end of a sentencing range can be life in prison,
Holy
depending. Yeah, absolutely.
fuck.
Depending on the person's criminal legal history. Now, BOL will be capped at 32 for people determined to have a mitigating role in the violation, meaning those at the lower end of the supply chain, and the USSC is supporting a broader application of that standard. BOL of 32 means a sentencing range of roughly between 10 and 22 years. In quotes, an adjustment is generally warranted if the defendant's primary function in the offense was plainly among the lowest level of drug trafficking functions, such as serving as a courier, running errands, sending or receiving phone calls or messages, or acting as a lookout, state the guidelines. Or if the defendant's primary function in the offense was performing another low level trafficking function, such as distributing controlled substances in user level quantities for little or no monetary compensation or with primary motivation other than profit. Primary motivations other than profit could include personal relationships or being threatened or coerced. The USSC is still considering whether to apply the adjustment retroactively. I think they should. I don't
Yeah.
believe people should. I don't believe most people should be in jail or prison. I say most.
No. No, it's a
I think there's other ways we could do that. Or just at least I don't think most people should be in jail or prison as long as they are.
dude,
How's that? How's that?
yeah, yeah, it sucks. That's a whole nother topic I'll go off the deep end with, so
Yeah,
I feel bad about it too.
yeah. Another amendment applies to fentanyl related substances specifically. In 2018, the USSC added a 4-level sentencing enhancement for cases involving fentanyl or fentanyl analogs. If the person convicted was found to have knowingly misrepresented a substance as not containing fentanyl, then in 2023, it was added as an alternative enhancement of only 2 levels if the level of awareness could be characterized as willful blindness or conscious avoidance of knowledge, which implies less intent. Now, the 2-level alternative can be applied for reckless disregard, which is intended to make it more widely used in place of the 4-level enhancement. I want to look at this real quick. Individuals, okay, so this is fentanyl and so looks like function and fentanyl.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think, like, yeah, it makes sense because there's no fucking way that a especially when they said in there, like, somebody who was threatened
Um,
by,
so
like,
that's they're probably gonna do like a girlfriend or wife or something like that.
yeah, even then, I mean, somebody can be
Yeah,
coerced into believing that
sure.
they are something and
Yeah.
then threatened at the go do the thing, like, Yeah, but even then, like, I don't know, man. It feels weird that people who are not the big offenders and happen to be just the transporters or some could still even get 22 years in the damn can. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, they're maybe and like it's just weird because the level of profit from here to like corporate theft and shit where like people are literally stealing millions and hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever.
Mhm.
They go to jail for a couple of years, no big deal, slaps on the wrist, in the nice prisons, whatever. But somebody transports, you know, especially cannabis. Like, I don't even think you can transport enough to hurt anybody. And then
It depends
gets
on how fast you drive, I guess.
touche, or how hard you can throw
Bales,
cannabis product. Yeah, at somebody.
for sure.
Yeah,
But this is a good thing.
it's a great
So,
thing. It's a really good thing.
yeah, the rest, it just talks about the rest of that, and then it also talks about some ones that were uh, not, adopted, some
I wonder
let's see.
if this comes with the caveat of like, we'll allow you to be this 32 and only serve 10 to 20 years in prison, but you have to give us the person. You know what I mean? I'm sure it's all snitch based because if not, they're going to go, oh, we're going to fully charge you and then you'll be a 38 and we'll put you in life in prison because you're the one doing all the bad activity.
Right. I mean, state can barely do its own job, and now it wants, you know, cannabis dispensaries to snitch on, consumers, you know? It's just so yeah, just so
Yeah.
they can, yeah, 20 years later or 80 years later say, "Oh, this stuff is bad. I can't believe we did that." That's
Yeah.
crazy. But, such is life. Such is life. Dave, you ready for, Dave's Conditional Cannabis Corner?
Yeah. Let's rock it, dude.
You got some symptoms from your condition to help you feel better. That is my mission. At the Conditional Cannabis Corner, you can get that information, and it won't even cost you a quarter.
My friends, welcome. Um, I would like to talk about cannabis as an antimicrobial. The reason for it is I was recently reading some stuff about the antimicrobial properties of cannabis and cannabinoids. Um, and it actually, there's people close to me that have gone through some stuff that I have always said, like, hey, consider cannabis topicals as a use of some symptom alleviation and antimicrobial, antibacterial properties. And I will preface saying all of what I'm about to say by reminding everybody, I'm not a medical professional. So consult a doctor or whatever. But cannabis used topically is something that we don't give as much credit to as I think that we should. And I think we sometimes even we sell it as a package that is less capable than what it actually is altogether. And you guys have heard me talk about the Pashadi method, putting cannabis topicals, oil, some sort of carrier in your belly button. There is a ton of medical benefit from it. There are other way. I mean, pain, joint pain. There's a stuff I talk about it all the time. The body oil. I literally called it Frank's Red Hots because you should put that shit on everything. It literally, if you could point at it and go, "Ow," I was like, just put some of this oil on it and rub it in. It's incredible. It's really effective as a headache alleviant. There are just unbelievable cannabis topical uh, things out there that topically we recognize cannabis does very effectively. But then there's like two parts of it. One, the antimicrobial, which CBD, CBG, CBC exhibit direct antibacterial effects, particularly against gram-positive bacterias, including MRSA, Streptococcus, and then there's others, right? That is scientifically measured. Then we also recognize that these compounds prevent the formation of biofilms, which is a protective coating bacteria use to shield themselves from antibiotics. So it's not that we're saying don't take the antibiotic if you have a something that you need to use it for, but it's saying that cannabis can be even that barrier in between that strips the biofilms, right, from the actual or the bacteria themselves, and allows the antibiotic to do its trick. There's so many things that cannabis can do outside of just like we want it to do everything, but it can do some things. And the other topical place that really gets or should get a lot of recognition, because this is directly where Rick Simpson comes from, is the use of cannabis as a topical skin cancer treatment. Rick Simpson treated melanoma and after that tried to be the authority on how to use, but I've talked about this a ton too. He used a naphtha extract. There's nothing wrong with it because if you refine it out the way that it should, and somebody just heard me say that and they're like, there's everything wrong with it. No, I understand that too. But naphtha is literally paint thinner. Okay. It comes from the bark of a tree. They extract it just like all of this shit anyway. But they extract it, and if it's clean and you wash this product clean, and then you are able to boil off the excess of anything and leave behind only the one product, which is cannabis, then perfect. But you still have some trace amounts of, and that's why people hate hydrocarbon extraction all the time, right? It's like use water and use heat, right? Well, it's a solventless extract. Well, isn't water the universal solvent? Anyway, this crazy talk we're getting into, but cannabis as a topical um, has been like anecdotally, and then through Rick Simpson and his whole team and everybody that's done it, topically, has shown to be very anti-tumoral and anti-cancerous. It doesn't mean that it is going to be the glory story. It's going to stop it. It's going to prevent it. It's anything. But what it does show is that it's capable. And a lot of times when I talk about like cancer too, it's not that cannabis is the direct thing going in and causing apoptosis, though they believe in some essence it could be. The THC is promoting apoptosis and there's other things, right? But is it the direct thing that is killing off the cancer cells? Um, it acts as a protective film and a protective barrier. And what I've was pretty much explained to was cannabis plays the or CBD especially plays the referee to whatever the hell is going on in the tumor space. The tumor space is your body fighting itself, cells fighting cells, the building of these cells that are fighting against themselves and then staying healthy and reproducing or dying off in masses. And there are tons of different understandings and explanations also of cancer, but to have this thing be this effective at topical skin cancer, the fact that we don't use it more blows my mind. The fact that we didn't study more naphtha extracted cannabis oils as a topical, when I say it's a um, paint thinner, maybe it's killing off some of those cells. Maybe the naphtha itself is promoting apoptosis or the killing and the cleansing of the bad cells, um, along with having the cannabis in there. And there's so many aspects of maybe what could be going on, but this is a space that I hope is far more studied and paid attention to, because even then we're talking about like, surgical wounds. We're talking about, scarring, chronic wounds, skin infections. The amount of things that topically cannabis could be helping is astronomical. And I was talking to a guy who had, and I'll just give you a direct story then. I was talking to a guy who had a surgical wound that became infected. And he is like a very well known, high up along the cannabis world of things. I'm like, why don't you do you use anything cannabis related for that? Oh, I smoke a little bit. I have this person who makes me some CBD tincture that I really enjoy. I'm like, but are you using anything topically on that? Oh yeah, no. I'm like, wait a minute, dude. You're touting the efficacy of cannabis and you are trying to be a cannabis brand and representative, but you're not willing to use the product that like you like do what be, it's like what Aaron said earlier in this episode, like don't just talk about it, be about it. And I hope that that promoted him to go do what I was asking him to, which was again to use cannabis extract oil, like a very clean FICO, a very clean RSO, a very clean, like a, use something that is just squeezed to be a cannabis full plant cannabis extract and consider using that topically. And I know that there was some movement in it. We don't associate anymore, but uh, you know, to me, it's just there is so much more to be done in the space of, and I have seen such great results in the space of, for wound healing, for uh, direct. I did actually have a patient who had a surgery who was scared of the scar because it would be very visible, who used a from the recommendation, used a RSO, a FICO, whatever, to um, they put it into a little a lotion or a carrier. I don't remember what the carrier was. Maybe it was a coconut oil of sorts, but they use that topically. And the scarring that I saw, I was like, holy shit! Like, and even they were like, yeah, no, it's the greatest thing. I fully accredit it to this like little concoction I made. So anecdotally, I've seen it, but scientifically, the evidence is there. This is a space where cannabis is unbelievably effective. And hopefully, there is more studies done so that in the near future, everybody feels as comfortable as I would if I had these problems to use it. But yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah, be about it. Don't talk about it. Just be about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I, yeah.
That's the moral of the story today, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, I'm a big fan of cannabis and I love this plant and I love talking about it. And everybody who listens in and chimes in and gives a perspective on
Mhm.
the progression also. Aaron and I talk about it all the time. We're just a couple of guys having conversation like we would out in the wilderness, just doing our thing. But there are, the feedback we get from the public out
Mhm.
there and the
Keeps us
the
going.
well, dude, and it's the
I
mission,
had this
right?
I had this conversation with Chi-Town Hi-Fi yesterday, very similar about
Yeah,
some things, and it was just like, "Hey, dude, what you just said to me like really means a lot." And stuff like that is the reason that we do it because otherwise we're just a couple of dudes talking.
yeah, and hopefully we can be of benefit to.
Hmm.
I think through all of this, and I know both you and I can probably say we get worked up sometimes, and
Yeah,
it's
we do.
because there is an aggravation and a lack of logic that exists in this space that I think both of us are just kind of frumping out and just going, why would they do that when it makes more sense that you shouldn't?
Yeah,
Um, but eh, I want to see the progression of this thing in a I want to see the progression of people and I'd like to be
yeah.
of benefit to make you even though I'm grumpy about it sometimes, I want you to look at it from a different lens and go, yeah, that is kind of stupid, but at least we know that it's happening.
Yeah,
You don't need to go run out and become the next advocate yourself or
right.
fight the fight. I think all of us need to fight the fight. And I think it starts like kind of
Here, yeah.
here, right?
Sometimes the things we say and the way we frame things, it is specifically to get people to question things from a certain perspective. You know.
And the progression of and the outward conversation where again it kind of lines up with project 21, just
Mhm.
three tell three more and then keep telling three more, and the idea that eventually the word can spread in a positive enough light where we all go, okay, personal use, fine, do it, but like then we don't have to be an advocate for it.
Right.
But there is so much more to this plant, the medical use of it, the implications of being a criminal or not, the implications of having jobs and businesses, and
Mhm.
all of these factors that play into why this plant is where it's at and how it's scrutinized. Like, w- if we can all just realize the base level of this, which is that there is so much more to offer, especially in a medical setting, and then in the progression of and moving, doing
Mhm.
more shit,
Yeah.
have more farmers farm for cannabis than they do for soy or corn, right? And
Yeah.
not that
Regenerative
those things
farming.
aren't beneficial where they're beneficial. It's that like, there's a better plant protein. There's a better like there's
Yeah.
it's a better fiber.
Mhm.
Um, the
It's
if it's
it's more
grown
prosperous for all of us.
bingo, and if it's grown in a way where it's treated properly and it's cultivated for its flowering parts,
Mhm.
there is a Swiss Army knife of possibilities capable a for our physiology, our anatomy, um, our journeys through life, and
I'd I
yeah.
I'd like to see more people, plant this in their backyard and understand gardening and find some connection to nature and some, some mental health that way as well. I'm not just an advocate for just using cannabis as medicine, but using the cannabis plant as medicine, growing the cannabis plant as mental medicine, having something to do, having something to take care of. And then, especially if you can use that cannabis plant and give that to somebody who needs it as medicine, that is very fulfilling. That's a very fulfilling thing to do. And it feels very good. And people should be able to feel good about themselves. It starts there sometimes. Just
Don't
feeling good
Don't
about
feel
yourself.
guilty to feel good
That's right.
also is, like, where this whole plan starts
Correct.
from. There's so much guilt bred into it. There's
Hmm.
so much, propaganda built into it. The negative connotations that come with being a user of it
Right.
is all trash, and it perils in the abilities that it has to make you feel good. And it's whether it's just a little buzz, a little psychological comfort, whether it's
Hmm.
fulfilling the dopamine receptors or whatever, in a space where psychologically a lot of us aren't doing as well as everybody hopes to pretend that they are. And I would venture to say way more people aren't doing as good as they put on a shield, or
Yeah.
a mask to pretend that they are. Um, why not use something that makes you feel comfortable and capable of sitting in your own thought, and then even then maybe building a little bit more community around people who are sitting in their thoughts, and then have some conversation about some stuff, communicate, you know little a little
Re-
community. Yeah.
Reach out. Reach out to your community. Hell yeah. Well, dude, we love you all. Smoke weed every day. Peace.
Yo, ding dong, we're done here. Time to go.